Hey, what's up? Steven here. We have a fun episode for you today. This was actually recorded on a Mindset Monday call. We do this every single Monday in our mastermind community. And the topics range from high level business to mindset tricks to sometimes interesting topics like this one, which aren't super discussed, but I feel like are incredibly valuable for those who lean in. So you're going to hear me, you'll hear my voice sound a little different because I actually record this after coming back from a conference where I was talking over loud music and I kind of lost my voice. So you're gonna hear a little bit raspy Steven. But this is a powerful training and goes really specific in actually how I tap into wisdom that I believe is a little bit beyond myself. And now how our students are doing this as well. And what was really cool and why I'm sharing this here on the podcast for you is some of the stories that came after this training. A week after, 2 weeks after, we heard some wild stories of people that actually implemented this in their life and saw crazy results. So have an open mind, take a listen to this one, and if you love it, take action. One last note, I am sharing my screen during this training, so you can totally listen to audio version and be fine. But if you want to see the visual version, go check us out on YouTube. It's the Rainmaker Family Show, and you can see where I'm sharing my screen and I'm talking through like a Google Doc as I'm going. So if you're a visual person, go hop over on YouTube, the Rainmaker Family Show. Make sure to subscribe and check it out there. I wanted to train on something. I've only trained on this once before in Rainmakers, and it was with our inner circle in Mexico. So we did a Mexico retreat just with our inner circle last year. And this is one of the topics that I trained on. And it's one of those ones, it's a little bit out there. Okay. So are you guys okay if we go a little bit out there today? A little bit out there. I mean, you guys are saying I'm a money magnet and then finding money just like in bushes. So I think you're okay with going a little bit out there. But before I start this conversation, I just want to kind of tell a story because I think there is sometimes barriers to you receiving, right? There are sometimes things that can hinder you or hold you back from receiving something. Like I have something for you today that could really help you out in life, in business, in your Amazon business. Like you may find a product using this strategy, and it's very simple. That being said, some of you may not receive this because of the language I use. And I remember I went to this conference once and there was this guy talking and like he was totally just not my flavor. You ever meet someone like that? And just like, this person is so different from me. And so I remember being at this conference with this guy. He's like the main guy. And like he was dropping all these bombs. But for the first part of the conference, I was kind of like, I just don't relate with this guy. Like he's just not my flavor. Right. And it took me some time to kind of like get around that and go like, you know what, even though he's not my flavor, I know this guy carries something that like I want, like I need and I want to receive it. So I had to kind of get past that thing and not be offended by things he said or triggered by language he used. And so is that okay today if I use a little bit of language that can be a little bit polarizing? I'm not going to be swearing or anything, you guys. But I'm going to use a little bit of language and maybe some polarizing. Is that okay if you just open it up to being to receiving? If you see any results in my life or my family's life that you want, this is a big part of that. And I wanted to share with you guys. I don't think it's fair for me not to share this with you guys. And so, is that okay? Let me know in the chat. Is that okay if we kind of go there? Okay. We're cool. Bring it on. Yes, please. Okay, cool. All right. So the word I'm going to use today may be triggering. Okay. No, I'm hyping it up. You guys are all freaking out. Is the word God. Okay. I'm going to use the word God. Okay. So, but if that's like something that puts a wall up for you, I just want you to see if you can receive this without that because you don't need that to go there. That's just the language I'm going to use around it. Okay. And so what I'm going to be talking about today is actually how to get ahead in your business, in your life while you're sleeping. Okay. While you're sleeping. And we actually had a really awesome conversation about this with a bunch of Rainmakers at this recent conference. Like a conference is like you sit in session all day, but the real juicy stuff happens afterwards. And so we're in the hotel lobby sitting around and we started sharing these stories about dreams in the night, having dreams at night. And you guys, this Rainmaker thing wouldn't be here without dreams. And so if you're not paying attention to your dreams, or you're saying, I don't dream, I want to help you out because there can be some crazy strategy for you while you're sleeping. While you're sleeping, you literally do not have to do anything. Okay. But I mean, there is something you have to do. But I mean, just historically, let's just like get out of like the woo-woo zone. Like there are major world-changing inventions, Nobel Prize winning things that have been like developed in dreams. Okay. In dreams. Like the sewing machine that came in a dream to the inventor, the sewing machine. Okay. The periodic table. You know, any science fans out here? The periodic table came in a dream to the guy that mapped it out. Like he literally saw the entire periodic table in a dream, and it was like almost entirely right. Like he had to change one thing on it. Isn't that crazy? And it was like way before his time. The DNA, like strand of DNA, that picture, the visual came in a dream. Okay. And that visual, like, you know, I was like, I feel like it looks like this. And then as science evolved, they realized, wow, that's true. Okay. So there's like many things that are affecting your life right now that came in a dream. Anyone ever use Google? Okay. That came in a dream to somebody. So if you're not paying attention to these things, you could be missing out on $1 billion ideas. And so like, I'm like, we got to talk about this because I think there is some traps holding people back by not paying attention to what's going on in the subconscious realm. And Mindset Monday is all about that. It's all about unlocking that. And so dreams have been a huge part of my journey as an entrepreneur and a huge part of Rainmakers. And so I wanted to kind of just share some stories with you, but then also share a really specific strategy on how you can unlock this for yourself, even if you say, I never dream. Okay. If you like don't have dreams, anyone like that in the chat, you're like, I haven't dreamed in forever. I don't have dreams. Like if that's you, I have something really cool for you today too. I also have, if you're an iPhone user, some really cool shortcuts that you could put on your phone that'll help you out for recording your dreams. So all that and more coming today. Okay. Okay. So let me just start with some stories. Okay. Let me just start with some stories because that helps like just build some faith that like this thing's worth paying attention to. So in the early days of Rainmakers, you guys have heard our story probably if you're in this room, that we were in the spaghetti season. We call it the spaghetti season because have you ever heard the phrase like throwing spaghetti against the wall to see what sticks? I guess that's like how you see if a spaghetti's like fully cooked. Because you throw it against the wall, if it sticks, it's like fully cooked. I never really knew where the phrase came from, but I was like, I say this all the time. I better look it up. So we were in that season with business. We're just like throwing stuff against the wall, see what sticks. We had this wedding business that was doing well, but we knew that there's something more for us. We knew we wanted more leverage in our life. So we just like watched every webinar, did every course, tried every opportunity you could think of. We were in the spaghetti season, throwing stuff and seeing what would stick. And at the time, I honestly prided myself in owning a lot of business. I was just like, I'm a serial entrepreneur. I own like 8 businesses. And they're all just like these businesses that like, you know, kind of trickled. And like we did okay, but like I just had so much going on, you know? And I remember the day I had a dream. I called the boiling noodle dream. Okay. And I remember we're in the spaghetti season. And I didn't really have language for that then. When you're in the spaghetti season, you don't really know. You're just like, I'm gonna have squirrel syndrome. I'm just like buying every course and doing everything that looks shiny, right? So I had a dream, and we were reading this book. You guys have heard this story probably, where we read in this book and it said a vine overextended will just grow sticks. And in that season, we were really overextending ourselves. We were adding more opportunities or businesses, but they're all taking more of our time, more of our time, more of our time. But we did have Amazon going at that time. It was just like kind of like one of many streams of like little income that was coming in. But I had this dream of a pot of boiling noodles. I saw a pot of boiling noodles in the dream, and I saw like a bunch of noodles in the pot, right? And I heard a voice say, if you boil one noodle, it'll go a lot faster. If you boil one noodle, it'll go a lot faster. And I woke up from the dream and I immediately knew, like I immediately knew. And you will get better at this because you might have that dream and go like, that was a weird dream. But with that dream, I just knew. I knew it was talking about our businesses. We had so many noodles in the pot, and I just needed to boil one noodle for a season. And so that was a dream that put us on this trajectory to trim some stuff out that we call it trimming season, where we had to trim some of the vines that were just growing sticks, being overextended, and trim back to the fruit. And the fruit was our wedding business. So we kept that going. And the fruit was Amazon. We saw something with Amazon. We're like, we need to go all in on that. And that was the reason that like our Amazon business took off that year. That led to Rainmakers. Guys, that came from a dream. Okay. Now, could I have gotten to it in another way? Yes, probably. But dreams are so nice because I feel like God can get your attention in dreams because like you actually slow down, you know, like you're busy going all over the place. But I feel like that was a divine intervention, something that gave me a clue for the next season that produced a lot of results. You guys here. And so, that's just one story. Another story I wanted to share with you guys, like I could have like tell stories for days. But I'll tell like, so that's like what we call like a direction dream. It's something that's giving you confirmation or clues. And you're not going to just like hear one dream and maybe just go for something. But like as you do this more, you start paying attention, you'll see themes, you'll see repetition, and you'll start to get guidance for things to come. And I know it sounds a little spooky if people are not into this, but like, just look at history, look at all the stuff that's come from there. There's got to be something about dreams. Whether you believe it's God speaking to you or not, I don't care. You're going to get amazing results by doing this. Okay. So, another type of dream you might get is like a confirmation dream, right? I remember a season where I was, this was like probably 2018, and we were kind of, we were in kind of a searching season. This was also in that spaghetti season. And we were also in this searching season of kind of, figuring out like we really were desiring mentors in our lives, like in the business realm, and the spiritual realm. And for years, I had recurring dreams of me, like I just be in like these like huge schools. And every time the school was different, but I could be like this, it like felt like Disneyland big. You know, it was like this like amazing school, but it was like Disneyland. You know, I was like, imagine Disneyland, like a school, but like that big. And I'd always be like in these dreams, just like wandering around, like looking for my class. Like, so I'd be wandering around the dream looking for my class. And sometimes it'd be like this really cool futuristic school. And sometimes it'd be like this Disneyland school. And sometimes it'd be like a jungle theme school. It was like all these different schools, but I'd always be wandering around looking for my class. Okay. And then along came this guy named Mike, and he was putting on this local class. And I felt like, you know, oh, we're supposed to do this class. As soon as I joined that class, like guys, we bought courses, we went to conferences. This was like pretty normal for us. But as soon as I joined Mike's class, my dream shifted. No longer was I looking for classes in my dreams. I was in the classrooms. And so it was a cool confirmation dream of like, oh, I'm in the right place. I feel like in this season, like I'm in the right place. And that class that we went through, you guys, was completely transformational for Chelsea and I. This is before Rainmakers, before any of this. It was some foundational stuff that needed to happen in us and really like our identity and who we saw ourselves as, that needed to happen before all this happened. And that dream like was confirmation. And then I kept having recurring dreams. I was in class and I'd be like learning in the classes. I'd be taking notes. I'd wake up with notes from the classes in my dreams that were super cool. And so that was just one of those ones, like pay attention to recurring dreams. Okay. Drop in the chat. Does anyone have like recurring dream, like a recurring dream, or you've had one that's like, is a theme that's kind of like recurring? Pay attention to those. Okay. Something is trying to get your attention. And so pay attention to those ones, especially. All right. Um, the last type of dream you might get is like a warning dream. Now, these ones I don't get as frequently, but like I had a dream one time. This one is kind of spooky, you know? And so I had a dream that, like we had a house cleaner at the time and, you know, just found her. I forget how we found her, but house, you know, normal house cleaner. She'd bring her crew and do the thing. And I had a dream one night, that, she came up to me and yeah, she got like I think I was in bed and she got close to me and she's like, "Where do you want me to punch you? Where do you want me to punch you?" So she just asked me, like, "Where do you want me to hurt you? Like, where do you want me to punch you?" And it was a really interesting dream. And there was a couple other things. I'm not going to go all of the details, but there's a couple other kind of things in that season that we really felt like we're not supposed to work with this cleaning lady anymore. She shouldn't be in our house. Shouldn't be working with her. Okay. So we, you know, we just stopped calling her. You don't really like let a house cleaner go, but we just were like, all right, we're gonna move on. You know, it wasn't like a regular thing, but like we just stopped calling her. And without going into details, like I'll just tell you that dream was cluing us into something that was very helpful to our family in advance. So that was a warning dream, something I could have not known, but something came to me and clued me in on something that really helped my family out. So I share this with you with like, you know, this is really fun. The dream world is really fun to learn about and to start tapping into. Um, and, but it also can be like totally life-giving to you. It can be totally directional to you. It can be totally peace-giving to you by giving you confirmation you're doing the right things or on the right track. It can also give you clues about what's to come, whether it's warnings or whether it's like direction, you know? So, that's what we're talking about today. Now I'm going to go into some really practical stuff on how to really unlock and amplify this in your life in this season. Okay. So the first person I want to talk to is the people that say, I don't dream. Okay. So if you're in the chat, I know there's a bunch of you. I don't dream. I don't have dreams. Drop in the chat. Just say me if that's you. Okay. If you don't dream, you're like, I haven't dreamed in a while. I just don't have dreams. Drop it in the chat because like this was the conversation that came up at this conference. And one of our Rainmakers, I don't know if she's in the room, but she was saying this. And oh, my hand went up. Okay. So I see a bunch of people. Okay. So check out this story. So my buddy Jeff, he actually works for Rainmakers now, but at the time he wasn't working for Rainmakers. And we live in separate towns, but we were college roommates. And we were college roommates. And so like after college, this is probably like, I don't know, 6 years after, he came to visit. And I was just getting into dreams at that time. I was like, oh my gosh, having these like boiling noodle. I'm telling these stories, you know, and he's like, oh yeah, I never dream. Like I just don't dream. Right. And so I was like, first, this is what I learned about dreams. I was like, you know, what we say is really important, right? So, saying I don't dream is the first step you got to change. Okay. So the first step, if you want to dream, if you want to tap into this at night, the first thing you got to change is your language. Okay. You guys know this is Mindset Monday. Your language is really powerful and it carries a lot of like, you know, it carries a lot of weight and authority, and what you say really matters. And so I want you to, from here on out, say, I dream. Okay. I do dream. Now, you may not be remembering your dreams, or you may be having, you know, I would say your dreams, you know, swept away. Like something happens, your, you know, baby wakes up screaming. Like you're not thinking about writing down a dream right then, and it's just gone. There's like a very like kind of like sometimes you remember dreams really, really vividly, but like if you get into this, you'll know like there's just kind of like a little window of remembering time. And if you kind of like miss it, it's gone. You know, it's just like this thing's gone. So I'll teach you about that in a second, but you do dream, and you just might not be remembering. So just start saying, I do dream. I'm just working on remembering it. Okay. So I'm in process, you know, just use better language for yourself. This is the first step. And so, why don't you guys, if you have said that, just say this, just try this. Okay. I think words are so powerful. Just say, I cancel the lie that I don't dream. I am going to dream starting today. Okay. I cancel the lie that I don't dream. I am going to dream starting today. Cool. All right. All right. So the cool thing is Jeff is over at our house. I talk him through this. I'm like, hey, you got to change your language, right? So change your language. And I'm like, hey, I think you're going to dream tonight. You know, I'm going to say with my words, you're going to dream tonight, Jeff. And so I tell him this. He goes to bed. He's sleeping in our guest room. And guess what he has? Not a dream. He has a recurring dream. He has a recurring dream. So he didn't remember. He didn't ever dream. He didn't think he had ever really dreamt, really, for like years and years and years. And he has that night a recurring dream. You ever have one of these dreams where you're like, I remember having this dream. And he remembered in that dream that he'd been having this dream for years, a recurring dream. Isn't that not wild? And so I share that story because it's like, wow, this is such a cool thing. And we had a Rainmaker with us, and she was kind of saying the same thing. So I walked her through that, told her that. I haven't checked in with her if she had a dream. I think this would have been Saturday night. We were having that conversation. But this is the first step. Change your language and expect that you're going to dream. And I bet a lot of you guys will tonight. Like I can almost guarantee that some of these people that said they don't dream, you're going to have like very vivid dreams tonight. Okay. So be ready for it. And I'll talk you through the logistics of how to be ready for it. Okay. So step number 2. Okay. Step number 2, I actually have 6 steps. Let me share my screen because this will be way easier. I have 6 steps. Okay. And some cool hacks for you guys if you want to do this and start tapping into this because it can be incredibly powerful. Okay. So let me zoom in here. So I did number 1. Okay. So stop saying I don't dream. Jeff's story. Done. Okay. Step number 2, prep your space. Okay. Prep your space. You got to be expectant. Okay. So some people like a pad of paper and a pen because like they don't want their phone to wake them up. So get a journal or something, put it next to your bed with a pen, have the pen open, make it like super easy for yourself to just write something down. There's something about writing it down because dreams happen. I forgot I talk about this. I always mess up like the prefrontal, back frontal. I don't know the parts of the brain, but the part when you write is like going to bring it into kind of solidarity, kind of like it's going to solidify the dream because it's kind of just floating around in there. And when you write it, there's something that happens. You actually will remember more of it. I personally use my phone because I like to be able to search my dream note. So I have a dream note in my phone that has the date and the dream, and it goes back till 2018. This is super cool because when I have a dream with like a dream symbol in it, which we'll talk about symbols, I can search the dream note for that symbol. Like for a season, I had a dream about candy. I'll tell you that story, but I just searched candy in there and it's like 18 mentions of candy. And I go look at every candy dream and it's like, oh my gosh, I see what candy represents. Okay. And so dreams are going to come in symbols sometimes and they take interpretation. Sometimes they're very clear, but like the boiling noodle, it wasn't a dream that said like simplify your business. It was like a boiling noodle, but I just knew what it meant. Right. So I like being able to search my dream note. So I do have a note on my phone. I pull it up before bed and I type in the date before like I go to sleep. So I type in like 10/23. For tonight, I would do 10/24/2023. Okay. So I do tomorrow's date basically because that's that night. And I'm doing that in anticipation. It's actually that act, I think. Like if you have a journal, write it down. It's that act that's like, I'm gonna dream tonight and I'm gonna remember it. And I'm getting my note ready. Okay. Step number 3, if you are going to use your phone, light really does wake you up. And it's kind of nice to be like half asleep while you're typing these because then you can go back to sleep. So I turn the brightness all the way down and I use an accessibility feature on the iPhone, which reduces the white point. You could set this. This is kind of getting more advanced. But if you have an iPhone, I actually made it really easy for you. I created some iCloud shortcuts that do this for you. So I created one called Dream Time and created one called Wake Up. And I'll show you guys what those do for all my iPhone users. I never used the shortcuts app. I can't believe I haven't used it before because I'm like optimize, outsource your life. And so the shortcuts app is really cool because it allows you to basically set up shortcuts. I'm gonna see if I can share my screen on my phone here. Okay. So give me a second. I'll show you guys what this looks like. And I'll put those links in the chat for you guys. So if you are an iPhone user, you can do that. If you're an Android user, you're out of luck. I'm sorry. I'm just kidding. If you're an Android user, you probably can do this somehow. I just don't know how because I've never had an Android, but you could definitely turn your brightness all the way down. I think that's the easiest thing you can do. Oh, here it is. Okay. You guys see my phone. Sweet. Okay. So you see that Dream Time right above Chrome right there? It's purple. That's a shortcut. Okay. Shortcuts, you can create basically apps. And when you click them, they do stuff. And so you guys aren't going to see anything on your end, but when I click this on my end, the brightness on my phone is going to immediately go all the way down. It's going to actually turn off the white point on my phone, which makes the brightness even dimmer than the lowest brightness setting. So this is like I can't even see my screen in the daylight when I do this. So you have to like know how to like get your screen back on, like just like, swipe down, turn the brightness back up. Like you have that muscle memory. But basically it gets your brightness like so far down. Okay. So I click Dream Time and then it also opens up my dream note. Okay. So I click that and boom, it just happens. Now it didn't do anything for you guys, but this is my dream note right here. And, it goes right up to the top and I have like my thing right at the top. Okay. Now on my end, my brightness went like all the way down. Okay. See that? Now, I'm going to like look at the zoom so I can see. I also have a wake up one in the bottom left-hand corner. And that one, when I click it, it just turns my brightness back up and it goes to my calendar for the day. So I basically have 2 shortcuts. I'll share those in the chat. I do have to share real quick how to customize those really fast for you. Don't look at my emails. 51,000 emails. I don't even look at that. Don't do this. I have a lot of inboxes and some of them are just for like collecting emails. I'm like an email collector. I love being on people's email list, but I have a strategy for that. Oh, that should be a future Mindset Monday. We'll talk about that later. Okay. So I'm putting them in the chat. We have the Dream Time one and we have the Wake Up one right there. If you are a iPhone user, you can use those. Okay. So when you're in the Shortcuts app, like when you download my shortcut, it's going to look like this one that says Dreamtime RM. You're going to click on the 3 dots there. And the only thing you have to do is this is like the flow that happens when you click this. Set your brightness, set your volume down. You can set your volume all the way down, but we usually have like a sound, like our baby monitor on. So turns your white point on, which basically reduces the brightness even more, and then opens your note. So you're going to have to create a note in your phone first using the Notes app and title it like Dreams or something like that. And then all you got to do is you got to replace that step with your one. So I would just click the X next to it on the right-hand side to get rid of it. You could also get rid of the Stop This shortcut. And then you're just going to type in the dream note down here. So like mine's called like Dreams, Visions, Revelations, Downloads, and Ideas. So you're going to add that in as a step. And then I go down to the search bar. Oh, wait, sorry. You're going to add that in, and then you just hit Stop My Shortcut. And that's like the flow. When you click that button on your phone, it's going to take your phone through this flow really fast. Brightness, volume, white point, note, Stop This shortcut. So it's just like, I'm just like, let's optimize your guys' life. And so that's how you customize that one. That sound good? Okay. So, or you could just use a journal. That's really easy too. But I do like the digital version. If you do use a journal, maybe you put it in a Google Doc or something like that, so you can reference it later. If you're a pad and paper person, cool. That's fine too. What's up, Rainmaker? If you're like me, having a good night's sleep is an absolute must, especially as a parent and an entrepreneur. And I feel like I found the secret weapon. It's called 8 Sleep. This brand is a way to add heating and cooling to any bed. And I'm telling you, this cooling feature is an absolute life changer for me, especially during those warm summer months. This might be TMI, but I sweat very easily. And I didn't really realize how much this was affecting my quality of sleep. Once I slept on this bed that has a cooling feature, imagine like the cool side of the pillow, but like all over your body all the time. I do not know how I lived without this. So if you're ready to revolutionize your sleep, head over to rainmakerfamily.com/deals. We got a hookup for Rainmaker Family Show listeners. Again, that's rainmakerfamily.com/deals and check out 8 Sleep. All right, back to the show. Step 4 is set your intention. Okay, set your intention. And I just kind of did this with you guys, but like I would go to sleep setting intention on like gratefulness. Like I would just be like, I'm so grateful that I dream. You know, even you people that have said it opposite, I'm just so grateful for dreams. I'm so grateful that people receive stuff in dreams. I'm so grateful I'm building this skill set. And I'm like, thank you for the dreams I'm about to have. I'm going to remember and write them down as soon as I'm awake. I'll just like say that in my head. And I don't do this every night, but like, I find when I do this, I am more likely to remember when I wake up. Like when I say like, I'm going to remember and write it down as soon as I wake up. Because here's the thing that will happen. And any people that do dream are probably going to laugh at this because it's so true. When you wake up, you will definitely think you're going to remember the dream. You'll definitely think you're going to remember this dream. You'll be like, oh my gosh, that dream was like, you'll wake up at 3 a.m. or whatever. You're like, that dream was so vivid. There's no way I'll forget that dream. And you will wake up in the morning and it will be gone. And so when you wake up, immediately write it down, even just the faintest glimmer of the dream. Okay. I mean, you have to kind of pull it out of this subconscious like space into like kind of reality. And the best analogy I have for that is a Kleenex box. Okay. So oftentimes when you're dreaming, just look at me here. I'm going to give you a visual. You have a little Kleenex box. I don't have any Kleenex on my desk, but here's my Kleenex box. And here's my little Kleenex sticking out. Okay. Right here. So this is all you get. Okay. It's like you usually get the tiny last part of the dream. Like there was a car and there was a roof rack and there was like, the roof rack was, so what you got to do is like, if like, oh, it's just a little bit of the dream. I'm not going to like, it's not worth writing down. Don't believe that. What you need to do is start to pull on this Kleenex. Okay. So you need to write it down. And when you pull on the Kleenex, more of the dream will come. Okay. So you start pulling on the thing. You're like, you write down the, okay, car rack, four points, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden you start remembering more of the dream. You start remembering more of the dream. And so you start keep just pulling on that Kleenex as much as you can. And that's how it always happens for me. Sometimes I remember the whole dream, but oftentimes I remember the last thing and I start pulling on it and I kind of like remember it backwards. Okay. It's really weird, but that's how it works. Okay. So, and any people that dream, you totally know this. Remember step number 4 is set those intentions. Step number 5, wake up, immediately write it down. And I think I said this, your mind will definitely convince you that you're going to remember it. This is a trap. For the dream to be stolen away from you, don't fall into it. Okay. And I do this a lot. So, don't feel guilty. If it happens, it's okay. Important things messages that you should receive, you'll probably get recurring dreams on. So don't stress out about missing something out or not remembering. Just sometimes you even have dreams that like, I don't think you're supposed to remember. And you're just like, oh, that was just kind of like for my spirit. No, that wasn't for me to really know. Okay. And then remember, a core concept of Rainmakers is those who will have more in abundance. This is all about like focusing on that little and just being grateful for what you do have. If you get like the tiniest dream, just celebrate it, be thankful for it, because when you do that, when you write it down, when you steward that thing, you will get more of it. Okay. You will definitely get more of it. And I've seen this happen with so many people that I've taken through this process is like it starts with a little. And they start writing it down. They start seeing some results. They start, maybe sharing with others and it's having impact in their life, other people's lives, their kids' life. When you start doing that, you will get more dreams. Like it's just like they come. There's like more and more and more. Okay. So when I'm thankful for what I have it almost every night. Sometimes you'll have multiple dreams a night. Okay. And I do have seasons where I'm just like, kind of like, I don't want to write down dreams tonight. It's okay. You don't need to be like super religious about this thing. But it is like an open opportunity. You're going to sleep anyway. And so I'm like, you might as well, get some ROI. Okay. Might as well get some ROI. And what a cool skill set to build in yourself, because how this works, now I've taught you guys through like practical. I want to talk to you guys about, okay, now you get some dreams. Now what? Okay. So let's talk. And I want to do some little bit interaction. Okay. So if you have a dream that you want to throw out there to the room and have me take a look at it, I'm happy to do that for you because this is a skill set that you build over time. And it is very much like you're going to get parables in your dream. You're going to get like stories or you're going to get symbols. There is like a dream language, right? Sometimes a dream is very specific, but often it is something that you have to learn to interpret. And it's not like it'll start really easy usually, and then it'll get more advanced over time because I believe you're building a relationship with God when you're doing this and you're learning to interact with Him. Okay. And if you only remember nightmares, Jensen, that's great because I have a great strategy for you with nightmares. So if you're willing to share a nightmare with me, I can show you how to flip it, and it's amazing. It's super cool. So if there's one that's like, not super, not super scary. I mean, it's not super graphic or something like that. I don't know. And you can share in a way that's family friendly here. Jensen, I'd love to hear that. If you're willing. Okay. Cause I'll help you out. Okay. So let me show you, can I guys show you an example of just like one that like I just found in my dream note right before this. So here's one. I'm going to this is like how my note would look in the morning. And oftentimes I write these down in the middle of the night. I don't remember them. And then I look back and I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot I had a dream. So I had this dream about this guy named Brent. He's a local guy in town here. And this is the dream. I was meeting with Brent in a dream at a brunch thing before church. I had seen him earlier at a gas station with a nice mountain bike. Okay. At brunch, he told me the company was totally at brunch, he told me the company he was working for was totally like blessing him on his way out. Like, they gave him some sort of bonus and paid for his trip to Tahoe to ride bikes, all expenses paid. I told him, well, that's crazy. I just had a dream of a mountain biker riding down the side of a massive building. It looked like the Pantheon. You guys know, like that Athens, like Pantheon, but bigger. It looked impossible. But somehow he was doing it with ease. Okay. So what I'm doing here is I'm kind of, I'm highlighting some dream symbols, okay, that are just like sticking out to me. The mountain bike thing in there is a lot. There's a lot of that. There's gas station in there. There's a massive building, okay, and there's some in between, okay. Now, here's the thing that I got to tell you guys. There's a lot of like, you could go on Google and be like, what does a mountain bike represent? Don't do that, okay? You can do that, but here's the thing, and this is what I believe. And so you can choose to believe what I believe, but this is what I've found from experience is that you will receive dream symbols in your language. Okay. So at the time of having this dream, I was into mountain biking and I was receiving a lot of mountain biking dreams and a lot of mountain biking symbolism in my life. And so I knew exactly what the mountain bike represented. Okay. So if I just said to this friend, I said, what do you think this means? They might miss it. Okay. And so you might go to Google and say, what does this thing mean? And like, that's okay. But that's like kindergarten dream interpretation. Okay. Really, like God is going to speak your language when it comes to dreams, and He's going to make it very personal to you. So I always ask myself, like, what does mountain bike represent to me? Okay. And in this season, I knew exactly what this dream was about. Now, also, you may have dreams about other people. Like this one was about Brent really specifically. And the other thing I ask is, what does that person represent to me? Okay. Because not every dream you have about another person is for that person. But I find a lot of times that it can be for both that person and me. So I do sometimes share that dream with that person if I feel like this, I don't know, like I'm like, hey, I was just on this Rainmaker call. I'm learning about dreams. And like, I know this is weird, but like, I had a dream about you. Would you mind if I shared it with you in case there's any significance there? I'm just learning. I don't know what I'm doing. I just like, would you be okay if I share? I say it like that, like every time. Like I still say it that way because I just want to come in humbly and not be like, I can see the future, you know? So I just always am like, hey, I'm learning. Can I share? And so I did feel like I was supposed to share Brent in this one. But if I have a dream about like my dad or like my mom or like my friend Tyler, like Tyler's like a guy who's in my dreams a lot. They represent other things because of who those people represent in my life. They're usually not for me to share with my dad. It usually represents like when my dad's in the dream, it usually represents God. Okay. So that's just me. It might not be you. But you gotta kind of sometimes ask like, who does this person represent? And sometimes the dream's for you, sometimes it's for someone else, sometimes it's for both. So I shared this with Brent, and this is what I shared with him. So this is the interpretation of the dream, that I shared with him. And this takes some time, okay, to learn this. So this is like, you're seeing me this is 2019 I think I got this one. I'm probably like 3 years into learning this process at this point. And so, am I still sharing my screen? No, I'm not. Okay, so this is what I shared with Brent, like, the next, like, I don't know, it was within a week or something. So I texted him. I said, I had to scroll, like, way up to find this text for you guys, okay? I was like, "I feel like God's speaking my language here, so I can interpret this one for you, unless mountain bikes mean something special to you too." All right, so I'd known that about we're gonna receive in our language. But for me recently, I've been getting into mountain biking. I keep getting messages, with mountain bike analogies. So in the dream, I feel like the mountain bike, it was a really nice mountain bike, by the way, represents a business. It was a rental, so I'm thinking it represents your property management business. So he was currently doing property management, but he was working under another company where he honestly had kind of a ceiling on him. And I really felt like that whatever you do in this next season is going to be blessed, because remember this, they are going to bless you out, right? Like, there's like something about blessing you out in the dream. Um, Even though, you may feel as it's self-propelled, right? Like, this bike was an electric bike, okay? Gravity, which I said was God, will be your advantage. God is your provider, and you can trust him to do his thing because he was going downhill, even though he had a electric bike. The train will look different. He was like riding on a building, but it'll be fun and exciting. You're gonna have favor in this thing. Instead of climbing up the mountain, you'll actually get to take a chairlift, a shortcut to start at the top. This is another part of the dream I don't think I wrote down, but as I was telling him, I remembered it. That being said, it will still be a new challenge, but you're going to love it. God's going to use the skills from your past in this new arena. Parts of it will come totally natural. Others will require new training. The dream I had in the dream shows there's a dream where I had a dream in the dream. It showed a mountain biker doing something that looked impossible, defying the rules of gravity, riding down the side of this massive building. I feel like once you go through the training ground of letting provision come through in faith and something bigger than you, right? You will be empowered as you do impossible things. So that came from that, like him riding down this like impossible, like doing this impossible thing and doing it with ease. Okay. So, um, again, that's like a big, long interpretation. But I sent this to Brent, kind of just like not knowing, and not, it's like who knows? This could be something, could be nothing. Okay, so he said, "Hey, remember?" This is actually later. He sent me this. He said, "Remember, you got this dream about starting a business, and the shortcut to the top. It gave us the faith to help quit my job. It was a great choice looking back." Okay, so this is actually months later. He sent me this video that he sent me right after the dream. And he was like, "This was such a great choice. Thank you for your faithfulness." And he sent me this feedback here. So here it is.
Hey, Steven, what's up, man? We just read Jen is crying over here. I just read your text message with your dream and everything. Man, I just want to say thank you for that because we've been really praying a lot about the business, about the Jen's trying to compose herself. Praying a lot about this business, this next season, this next thing that we're doing, and it's been like such a big deal. We've been feeling God's leading though, like, hey, like it's time to leave Hignal. It's time to you know, go your own thing. So she can't even. Anyways, man, thank you so much for that dream because it was a lot of confirmation. As you know, jumping out, taking a risk can be tough, especially on the family, like Jen, like me, I'm like, let's go. And she's a little more, uh, how's it gonna work? But we both felt a lot of peace on it, and that dream was just a lot of confirmation, and so it was really, really good, so I really appreciate you sharing that and writing it all out and taking the time to do that, man. Thank you. Yes.
So cool, you guys. Like, and again, I was just experimenting. And when you don't really know until you try, right? And so if you do have dreams that are for other people, potentially just try in a humble way, share it with them. And like getting feedback like that is so cool. You might never know too. And sometimes things could be years out, but Brent did go on to quit that job. He was blessed out. He did get under the wing of another company, which really propelled him. And Brent, like, I mean, he had this, he had, like, I saw, you have these friends, you just see it. I was like, this guy's got so much potential. He can't be underneath this ceiling where he's hitting the ceiling at this job. I just knew he had to be an entrepreneur. I knew I could just, entrepreneurs can sniff this and each other. Right. And so, but his family, very secure minded. He's very like security based. So this is a scary thing. And the dream gave him faith to go like, okay, we've been praying about this thing. We don't know. But this dream plus other things gave him faith to go like, I'm going to step out in faith and like know that it's going to be okay. And it totally was okay. And like, not only was it not okay, but he, in my opinion, became one of the best realtors in Chico, developing a whole new strategy on how to sell houses. And like now every realtor in Chico basically tries to copy him, which is crazy. So, like all off of a dream. Okay. Isn't that wild? So this is the cool part. When you start to learn how to listen to dreams and hear strategies in there for your business and your life, you actually start to see these things in real life too. I'm saying real life, like dreams aren't real life, but like you'll see them in like like I call these life parables. And so I in real life got some held of some Swedish fish one day, and I was chewing them, and like all of a sudden there was something hard in one of them, and in my tooth had like like I had like a crown on, like from like 10 years ago, like a crown on my tooth. It had come off, like I was eating this Swedish fish, and I was like biting on the tooth, and so I was like, oh no, like, and so I went to the dentist, and they didn't have to like do any like crazy stuff, but they did have to drill into the tooth and put a rod in there and put a new crown on my tooth. Okay. Now that made sense to none of you, but I was having all these dreams about candy. So I was paying attention. I was like, what's the message for me here? And at the time we were going through this super intense business negotiation. And the message I received from this was that sweetness got me here. Okay. But I needed to be strong and take back authority in the next season and actually have a sternness to me that developed because sweetness, I was climbing the rope, the candy rope got me to higher levels. But what was developing in me was I needed to have a new strength, the rod. I need to have a new, like, firm kind of foundation and new authority crown put on the tooth. So I had my crown replaced, new authority. Okay. And so in this business negotiation, I had to show up as a different Steven. Actually, it's the same Steven, but I had to let like stern father Steve come out in this business relationship, and it literally saved the business. Rainmakers would have gone like to the dirt if I did not do this. And so I was spoken to through candy, you guys. And so like I would not have caught that message and not gotten that strategy of how I needed to show up to that meeting if I hadn't been paying attention to the dreams. And then in the dream language, learning that, actually seeing it in my real life and like paying attention, because like things don't happen on accident. All right, you guys, I'd love to hear the reports if you guys have some fun dreams. We're not turning Rainmakers into a dream interpretation group, but this is a strategy for your business and your life. It's helped us out so much when it comes to direction, when it comes to next seasons. Even it's helped friends. Like our team will have dreams for us. And like it's so fun to like kind of unlock this thing because you're sleeping anyway. And there's like this kind of untapped realm. And so, yeah, I just sense that there's going to be a new dreams. If anyone like said they didn't dream and then dreams tonight, I would love to hear about that, especially so we can celebrate it. And if you say you didn't dream, you don't dream tonight, you can see those celebrations in the group and go like, that's for me too. That's for me too. And yeah, love you all. It's been fun hanging out. I'll see you guys very soon. Okay.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Rainmaker Family Show. Hey, if you are not a part of our Rainmaker Mastermind, we have a new opportunity for you to book a one-on-one strategy call with one of our Rainmaker coaches.
If you want to get a call with them, see if it's a good fit for you to work with us to build a business that allows you to have time freedom and financial freedom, you can get that call at makeitrainmama.com/podcast. That's makeitrainmama, MOMMA.com/podcast.